UK are like puppets now. They follow their US masters in sanction policies, and these sanction policies are always bad because it often leads to bad precedent and bad consequences. Why will the UK suddenly sanction China companies? Because the US asked them to do it. Are they not a big country that should be making decisions that benefit their citizens alone? But choosing to sanction will always fail, because sanction often work both ways, even against the nation that initiate the sanction. Stay with us till the end to find out how the UK is sanction China and other nations, and how China hope to retaliate. Hello and welcome back to Innovative Check YouTube channel, where we delve into the innovative and transformative projects changing our world. If you're new to the channel and enjoy learning about innovation stories around the world, you've come to the right place. Please subscribe, like, and comment to help boost our videos on YouTube. In the global arena of international politics and economic strategies, the recent actions by the United Kingdom UK have sparked significant controversy and tension, particularly with the People's Republic of China, the UK, often perceived as closely aligning with the United States. US has embarked on a path of imposing sanctions on various Chinese firms. This move, arguably influenced by US policies, raises critical questions about the implications and effectiveness of such sanctions, not only for the targeted nations, but also for the sanctioning countries themselves. Just a quick reminder to hit the like button below. YouTube has been restricting my videos a lot recently because of bots, so your like does help out this video massively in terms of the algorithm in YouTube. Sanctions, by their very nature, are a double-edged sword. While they aim to exert pressure on governments or entities deemed to be engaging in unacceptable practices, they also have the potential to backfire, affecting the economies and diplomatic relations of the sanctioning nations. In this case, the UK's decision to sanction Chinese companies is not merely an isolated act of foreign policy, but a move that reflects the broader dynamics of international relations, particularly the influence of the US on its allies. The recent sanctions imposed by the UK are part of a wider strategy to target those supporting Russia's military efforts in the ongoing conflict in Ukraine. According to the UK government, the sanctions are aimed at entities and individuals involved in activities that bolster Russia's military capabilities. This includes the design and production of drones and missile components, as well as the procurement of essential electronic parts. Among the newly sanctioned entities are firms based in China, Belarus, Serbia, Turkey, the United Arab Emirates, and Uzbekistan. These sanctions underscore the UK's commitment to undermining the logistical and technological support that Russia reportedly receives from these countries. Specifically, the UK has identified 3 Chinese companies, Asia Pacific Links Limited, Sino Electronics Company Limited, and Xinghua Company Limited, accusing them of supplying goods that are under sanctions. This move has elicited a strong response from China, which accuses the UK of violating international norms and laws. The Chinese embassy in the UK has been vociferous in its opposition to these sanctions, urging the British government to retract its decision and warning of significant retaliatory measures should their interests continue to be harmed. In addition to Chinese firms, the UK sanctions have also targeted entities in the UAE, purportedly involved in the trade of Russian oil, and a Belarusian defense organization accused of producing military technology to aid Russia's war efforts. These measures are part of a broader strategy by the UK and its allies to isolate Russia economically and technologically in response to its actions in Ukraine. Anne-Marie Trevelyan, a junior foreign minister in the UK, has articulated the government's stance, emphasizing the intention to intensify pressure on Russian President Vladimir Putin and disrupt the supply chains that support Russia's military. The UK, in coordination with the Group of 7 and other international allies, aims to debilitate Russia's defense systems and thwart the illegal provision of goods and technology critical to its war efforts. The cumulative effect of these sanctions is substantial, with more than 1,600 individuals and an additional 250 entities now facing restrictions by the UK. This expansive sanction regime reflects a concerted effort by the UK and its allies to respond to global crises through economic and diplomatic pressure. However, the repercussions of such policies are complex and multifaceted, affecting international relations, trade, and the global economy in profound ways. The UK's alignment with US foreign policy, particularly in the context of sanctions, has been a subject of debate and criticism. Critics argue that such alignment often lacks a nuanced understanding of the unique interests and challenges facing the UK. They contend that an over-reliance on US-led policies can lead to decisions that may not always align with the best interests of the UK or its citizens. This perspective underscores the need for a more independent and considered approach in foreign policy decision-making, one that prioritizes national interests while balancing the complexities of international alliances and relationships. If you are enjoying this video so far, please don't forget to subscribe, share the video and comment. China's strong response to the UK's sanctions is indicative of the growing tensions between major global powers. The Chinese government's warning of a firm response to actions that harm its interests is a clear signal of its readiness to engage in retaliatory measures. This situation exemplifies the delicate balance that nations must maintain in the international arena, where actions taken in the interest of national security or global stability can have unintended and far-reaching consequences. The debate over the efficacy and morality of sanctions as a foreign policy tool continues to be a contentious issue in international relations. While sanctions are intended to be a non-military means of exerting pressure and effecting change, their impact on the civilian population and the global economy cannot be overlooked. The decision to impose sanctions often involves complex considerations, weighing the potential benefits against the possible negative repercussions. In the case of the UK's sanctions against Chinese firms, the move is not merely about penalizing specific entities, but also about sending a broader message on the international stage. It reflects the UK's stance on the Russia-Ukraine conflict and its commitment to upholding certain international norms and values. However, it also highlights the challenges inherent in implementing sanctions, particularly when they involve major global economies like China. The evolving situation underscores the need for careful diplomatic engagement and a nuanced understanding of the global geopolitical landscape. As nations navigate these complex dynamics, the decisions they make will have profound implications, not only for their immediate interests, but also for the broader international community. The UK's sanctions against Chinese firms, therefore, represent not just a singular policy decision, but a piece in the larger puzzle of global politics and economic relations. As the international community watches these developments unfold, the responses from China and other affected nations will be closely scrutinized. The efficacy of sanctions as a tool of foreign policy, the resilience of global alliances, and the capacity for diplomatic resolution of conflicts will all be tested in this context. The outcome of these tensions will not only shape the future of UK-China relations, but also influence the broader landscape of international diplomacy and economic cooperation. The implications of the UK's sanctions against Chinese firms extend beyond the immediate context of the Russia-Ukraine conflict and touch upon broader themes in international relations and global governance. The decision to impose these sanctions is not merely a reflection of the UK's stance on the conflict, but also an indication of the deeper geopolitical currents that shape world politics today. In this complex tapestry, several key aspects merit further exploration. Firstly, the role of the US in shaping the foreign policies of its allies, particularly the UK, is a crucial element in understanding these developments. The UK's decision to follow the US in imposing sanctions raises questions about the extent of its foreign policy autonomy. This situation is emblematic of the broader trends in international alliances, where smaller powers often align with larger ones for strategic reasons. However, such alignment can sometimes lead to actions that may not be entirely in the smaller nation's interest or reflective of its independent foreign policy goals. The UK's actions, therefore, must be viewed within the context of its long-standing alliance with the US and the dynamics of power and influence that characterize such relationships. If you are enjoying this video so far, please don't forget to subscribe, share the video and comment. Secondly, the nature and effectiveness of sanctions as a tool of foreign policy are increasingly being scrutinized. While sanctions are intended to be a non-violent means of exerting pressure on governments or entities, their actual impact can be quite complex. In many cases, sanctions have significant economic repercussions, not only for the target nation, but also for the global economy. Additionally, the humanitarian impact of sanctions cannot be ignored, as they often result in hardships for the general population of the targeted country. The case of the UK sanctioning Chinese firms thus raises important questions about the balance between achieving political objectives and mitigating unintended negative consequences. Thirdly, China's reaction to these sanctions is a clear indication of the shifting power dynamics in the global order. As an emerging superpower, China's assertive response to actions it perceives as hostile or unfair is reflective of its growing confidence and willingness to assert its interests on the global stage. This development signals a more multipolar world where traditional powers like the US and the UK must contend with other influential nations in shaping international norms and policies. China's warning of a firm response to the UK sanctions is not just about these specific measures, but also about setting a precedent for how it will respond to similar actions in the future. Furthermore, the impact of these sanctions on the global economy and international trade is another significant aspect to consider. In an increasingly interconnected world, actions taken by one nation can have far-reaching effects on others. Sanctions against Chinese firms, for example, can disrupt global supply chains, affect international trade patterns, and influence economic relations among nations. The UK's move, therefore, has implications that go beyond the bilateral relationship between the UK and China and affect the broader global economic landscape. In addition to these economic considerations, the diplomatic fallout from such sanctions is also critical. Sanctions can strain diplomatic relations, lead to retaliatory measures, and escalate tensions between nations. The UK's actions have the potential to affect its diplomatic engagement with China and other nations involved in the sanctions. In the realm of international diplomacy, where negotiations and relationships are key, the use of sanctions can sometimes be counterproductive, leading to hardened positions and reduced scope for dialogue. The situation also highlights the challenges faced by multinational entities and businesses operating in a complex international environment. Companies that find themselves at the crossroads of geopolitical tensions must navigate a difficult path, balancing compliance with national laws and regulations against their business interests and global operations. The sanctions against Chinese firms underscore the need for businesses to be acutely aware of the political landscape and to have strategies in place to mitigate risks associated with geopolitical disputes. Looking ahead, the UK's sanctions against Chinese firms and the subsequent response from China are likely to have lasting effects on international relations and global governance. These developments may prompt a re-evaluation of the use of sanctions as a policy tool and lead to discussions on more effective ways to resolve international disputes. The evolving global order, characterized by the rise of new powers and the reassertion of traditional ones, will continue to challenge established norms and practices in international politics. The UK's decision to impose sanctions on Chinese firms is a multifaceted issue that touches upon various aspects of international relations, including the influence of major powers, the effectiveness and impact of sanctions, the shifting global power dynamics, economic considerations, diplomatic relations, and the challenges faced by multinational businesses. As the situation continues to evolve, it will be important to monitor the responses and actions of the involved parties, as well as the broader implications for the international community. Thank you for your attention, and I welcome your thoughts and questions on this complex and vital subject. Do you want to watch more videos like this one? If yes, please like and share the video and subscribe to get exclusive videos about how phenomenally China is developing and growing its influence. Your subscriptions and likes motivate us to generate more content, so please keep supporting us. Check out this video showing on your screen right now, and I will see you on the other side.